North Carolina at our Hope Books headquarters. I am joined with an incredible group of authors who have just published the next book in our Fruit of the Spirit series, Joy, Experiencing Heaven's Delight in Every Season. This incredible book is going to give you some encouragement that you need, not only for today, but for tomorrow, and give you some reasons to find joy in your life and truly walk out this particular fruit of the Spirit. So I'm so excited. We have a full house tonight. So let's give it up for our entire studio audience today. I trained them. So excited that they're with us tonight. We have some amazing authors that are also joining us online to tell you a little bit about their chapter that they've written in this book. So you can find it, Joy, Experiencing Heaven's Delight in Every Season, on Amazon.com. We're going to make sure we put that link in the chat, but here's what we would love for you to do. Tell us where you're joining us from. We have people joining from all over the world, and we want to hear from you. You're just as much a part of this as this studio audience is, and we want to get to know you. We want to get to know what author you're here to support as well, and feel free to share. Click that share button and share it with your friends and family. We have some great things to celebrate tonight. So without further ado, we're going to invite each one of our authors up to the table, and they're going to share a little bit about their story. And hopefully you will get to see your own life story within theirs and find the support that you need and a little bit of joy that you might have been missing. So let's get started. Can you please help me welcome Trish Cordell to the stage? Come on. Hello, my love.
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty in pink. Peachy peachy.
Peachy. It's all peachy.
It's all peachy. It's my favorite thing. Okay, your chapter 1, we start off hot and heavy with chapter 1. I love it. Blooming where you are, rediscovering joy as an empty nester. This is a great, great story for us. Why don't you share a little bit about your chapter?
Okay, so my chapter is about finding myself as a 58-year-old woman living alone for the first time. And that was pretty scary for me because I'd been around people for 58 years. So this was me rediscovering myself through laying down everything I thought life would look like and asking God to show me what he wanted for my life. It's like we all make our plans, right? So my plans weren't always that great.
Well, and you talked a little bit earlier today about that, the surrender that has to happen with that, and the plans that you thought were going to happen and didn't necessarily happen, and getting to a specific area of your life where your son is now out of the house. Right. You got your puppy though.
I have my puppy. His name is Moose, but he's like this big.
He's wee. I love it. I love it. So why don't you share a little bit with when it came to surrender? How did that feel for you? What kind of process did you have to go through when it came to that? I know it's a continual process. We're always surrendering something, but coming to that understanding of there's joy here. You know, this isn't circumstantial. I have to choose this.
Right. And I did have to choose this because everything I had been up to that point was in that particular season was like a mom or somebody who was at work, and now I was retired. My son had moved on, and I was a grandma. So God didn't like suddenly go, I'm removing everything from your life. Right. He said very gently, very graciously. It was just little by little so that I wasn't so overwhelmed. But at the same time, it was still sad because everything I had up to that point was everything I'd known I'd be. Yeah. And so when it was done, well, what now? Yeah. What do I do now? Yeah. And I didn't know that answer. So I was like, Lord, I don't know. Help. It was a constant, everyday
perfect sentence ending and beginning. Help.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. So what is one hope-filled thing you would love for somebody watching tonight to get from your chapter?
That when you come to the end of one journey, God is fully prepared to lead you into the next.
I love that. Well, we are so very proud of you, my dear. Y'all give it up for Trish. First of all, it is not easy to be the first author that comes up here and stands at the table. And she did it so very, very well. We're so proud of each one of our authors. And as the next one is getting ready, maybe you have found yourself in that season too, where you're an empty nester and maybe your children have left the home, or you found yourself in a season where I'm all by myself. Where's the joy? This is an incredible chapter for you to link arms to, for you to find your encouragement. And I'm telling you, the Lord's really going to speak to you in this particular chapter. So I would love to invite our next author to the stage. I'm just going to call it the stage because that's what it feels like. Michelle Berenger. Would you guys give it up for Michelle? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Curly hair girls all day, every day, all day, every day. All right, Michelle, your chapter is called Joy, the Secret Power of Strength. Why don't you share with us about your chapter?
Yeah, so in 2011, that year was a year filled with trials. Like, I don't know if you've had a year like that, or even a couple of years where it was just one trial after another. Mm-hmm. And they were big, heavy trials. And by the end of January, I was zapped from strength and not much joy. Mm-hmm. And so one morning, I didn't even want to get out of bed, didn't want to open the bedroom door. And as I laid there procrastinating to get up, the Lord whispered to me, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." And from that conversation I had with him that morning, from then on out, for the whole rest of that year, I would pray for joy, because that's how we get our strength. Yeah. And so I'm not going to tell you all of the trials I went to. You'll have to read the book. And but he did deliver. He delivered strength and joy throughout that entire year.
Yeah. I love that. Praying for joy.
Pray for joy.
Not necessarily praying for strength, because strength comes from that joy. Right. The joy of the Lord is our strength. I immediately remember, you know that song?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
We're not going to break out in song.
I know we're not going to break out in song, but we could. We totally could. And you're right. You don't want to necessarily share everything, but in the midst of that, you also had kind of a little bit of what Trish was also dealing with too, having to go through the process of grieving those things, but then coming to that realization that joy and sorrow can coexist.
Yes. Joy and sorrow always are together. I don't know who told me one time, but it's like a train track of two tracks. Mm-hmm. Joy and sorrow travel together in this world. And one day, it'll just be joy. Mm-hmm. Sorrow will be left behind. But for right now, they travel together.
I love that. Mm-hmm. So outside of that, is there one hope-filled thing you would love to share with your audience tonight?
Pray for joy.
Pray for joy. What a beautiful thing to pray for, especially right now in this day and age.
Yes, absolutely.
Michelle, we're so very proud of you. Congratulations. Y'all give it up for Michelle. I love it. And she is so 100% right. If I could give you like my PSA announcement tonight, be mindful of what you let in your eye gate, in your ear gate. This entire world right now can suck the joy out of your life. Don't allow that. Search for joy, pray for joy on a daily basis, and watch what God can do in your life. Watch the little ways that he wants to remind you of how much he loves you and how much he has complete joy and delight over who you are. You're going to read that in every single one of their stories. They're all intertwined and interlinked in some way, shape, or form, but to pray for joy on a daily basis and watch the Lord move. Seriously, watch the Lord move. Okay, I'd love to bring up to the table tonight our next incredible author, Miss Christina Edwards. Would you guys give it up for Christina? Hello. I love this screen. I meant to tell you that earlier today.
Thank you.
It just, we were talking about everything's blooming. Yes. It almost felt like our book could have also had flowers in it.
It could have.
But that just reminds me of the garden. Oh, just so beautiful. So your chapter is called Because of God, I Have Joy. Why don't you share with us about your chapter?
So my chapter is how I found joy after the sudden loss of my husband and the grief journey. We all go through hard things. We all grieve differently. But ultimately, I had to say, okay, God, this is your plan. So show me where I fit into this plan. And
he helped me to move forward. And I talk about 3 different things that are so important in that journey. I'm not going to go into them in detail here. And then I also shared a poem, and I think God gave me poetry as a creative way to deal with my grief. And I write poems all the time about all sorts of things. And in that chapter, it talks about the emptiness of grief. And then when you change your perspective, how you can see the joy and the gifts that God gives us every day.
Yeah. Changing your perspective is key.
Yes.
I think it's the key to all of it.
It's huge.
Yeah. And the only person that is control of that is us.
Yes.
No one else can change our perspective
Right.
except for us.
Right.
We have to choose that, which means we also choose joy,
Right.
which I love. And at the same time, it's not always easy.
I think it's a byproduct of being in the presence of God that he
100%.
shows you the joy.
Yeah. Truly being in his presence,
Yeah.
not going in the deep end of theology,
Right.
not going in the deep end of, the rules and regulations,
Right.
but loving him and falling in love with him
Yes.
and truly just saturating in his presence
Yes.
can only really produce that joy.
That's true.
I love that. So what is one hope-filled thing you'd love to share with everyone tonight?
God does not leave us broken. He is the hope and healer of our soul.
That is profound. Say it one more time because someone needs to hear that right now.
God does not leave us broken. He is the hope and healer of our soul.
Yeah. That is definitely for somebody specific who's watching tonight. So, Michelle, thank you so. Why do I call you Michelle? Christina Edwards.
Okay.
What is my problem today? Christina, thank you so much, not only for those words of wisdom, but also being willing to share the grief story about it, but also the choices that you had to make. That is not an easy thing to do
Right.
at all. And I know there's people who are watching tonight who are in a place where they got to make some tough choices. And guess what? You know what's on the other side of those tough choices? Joy. There's joy. Y'all give it up for Christina. We're so proud of you. Woo! Okay, so the book is called Joy, Experiencing Heaven's Delight in Every Season. And there's a reason we actually have the tagline every season is because there are very specific seasons of our life. And part of really getting to understand the true depth of joy is also to recognize those seasons. You've heard from quite a few of our authors already. You're going to hear from a few more. All right. They've gone through some seasons of grief. They've gone through seasons of mountaintop moments, valley moments. But in the midst of all of that, still finding who he is and the fruit that is produced through truly knowing a real, loving, living God. And our next author is no substitute to that. She is going to share her really, really fun story. I'm so excited for you to get to hear this story. We were giggling left and right in the room today. So would you give it up for Julie Almodovar? Oh, dang it, I'm going to do it. Almodovar. I did it. Yes! Julie Almodovar. Listen. Julie said, Liz, you got to say almond Dovar, which I love because it's chocolate, and I still said it wrong. Almodovar. Almodovar. Oh my gosh. All day, every day. Okay, so your chapter, so much fun. So much fun. Joy in a red suit. Do you hear where we're going with this? In March. Just think December. All right. Joy in a red suit, or how Jesus grows joy through ordinary faithfulness. Ordinary faithfulness. Okay. Share a little bit about the red suit.
Okay. My story my chapter is a little different. It's not really a hard story chapter, but it's about, being faithful, and that joy actually comes through consistency and faithful moments as opposed to just all at once. It's not really a situational thing. So the main character in my story is my brother-in-law, Doug. He's a big guy. He's loud. He's a little gruff and rough around the edges. But 16 years ago, he was asked to put on a Santa suit. And he did it, and he was awkward. It was awkward, and he was uncomfortable. But he did it again the next year and the next year, and he just kept showing up, and he kept doing it. And over the years, I have watched him change. I've watched the Lord change him through his constantly showing up and being there for other people, and his bringing joy to others brings joy to him.
And now 16 years, right?
16 years.
16 years, which is so interesting because Dr. Brian Dixon was just sharing with us, growth comes in the uncomfortable. And when we're uncomfortable, what comes with growth? Joy.
Yep.
As we grow, we get to know more about who God has created us to be. And I can only imagine the lives that your brother-in-law has touched and changed that he never would have thought he would have done if he hadn't gotten a little uncomfortable, which I absolutely love. And he loves it, right?
He's a local celebrity now, and he has
Santa celebrity.
He has Santa gigs all over the area and just does really good things. His heart has just changed, and he has so much joy because of what he does.
I love that. And the other thing we were also discussing earlier today is just watching him. The 16 years you've watched that process of joy and what it's done to your own life. It may not be you who's going through the process. You may be just the observer of someone going through the process. Guess what? That joy can be on you too.
Absolutely.
Even though it might not necessarily, you're going through your own process as you're watching someone else. And I love that. So what is one hope-filled thing you'd love for someone watching tonight to get? Joy
is not an instant thing. It's not something that that is situational or circumstantial. Sometimes it's when you step out in service to God and you just keep showing up and you're consistent, and bringing joy to others will always bring you joy.
Julie, absolutely beautiful. Y'all give it up for Julie Almodovar. Listen, when the authors come in the room, they're like family because we've gone through a lot in 3 months writing a book, and they did a phenomenal job. We're so, so proud. So the book is called Joy: Experiencing Heaven's Delight in Every Season. And we're going to put the link to this book in the chat. So why don't you also do me a huge favor, give one of our authors that you've seen so far or that you're waiting to come up to the table or watch online, why don't you give them a shout out in the chat, give them all different kinds of confetti, balloons, all of the things. They deserve the encouragement. They've done some really, really hard things. It is not easy to put your life out on paper for people to be able to read. And not only have they done it, they've done it so well, and sharing their stories of hope, sharing their stories of the fruit of the Spirit, of joy in their lives, what they've seen, what they've encountered. And for you to find yourselves in those stories too, which is our big prayer from us to you tonight, that you will find yourselves in these stories, pick up a book, read through it, and that your life be changed and encouraged for the better, to take another step tomorrow to choose joy. That's like the biggest thing. We're going to choose joy. So I'd love to welcome to the stage as well our last in-person author tonight, Stephanie Judy. You wore the proper yellow. We wore the proper yellow because joy is very yellow. It is the color of joy, I think. Maybe it's just me, but that's okay. All right, Steph, your chapter is called Rugged Joy: The Practice of Praising God When Your Story is Still Unfolding. So why don't you share about your chapter?
Yes, so we got life-changing news one day that our daughter would be moving 2,000 miles away when she was about 15 years old. And we prayed and wrestled through how that all might turn out. And we had this precious month of time that God gave us together, and then she was gone. And it was like she had vanished from our lives. No more going to soccer games. Everything changed in our schedule. And we processed a lot of grief through that. And, not every marriage or not every person processes grief in the same way.
Yeah.
And so we struggled to figure out how to do that together, but we took this spontaneous road trip to New England. And while we were there, I saw along this really barren, craggy place, a tree that was growing up out of nowhere, it seemed like. It didn't seem like there was any soil for it to grow from. And it was just a really great reminder that God can grow something new even out of the barren, craggy place.
That is so beautiful. And a lot of times we find ourselves in those places. The grief that kind of overwhelms us of, this is not what I thought it would be like. right? Which is a real emotion. It's a real thing to think everything around us is going barren. And then to have that reminder of, oh, no. It's even in those hard places that the most beautiful things can grow.
Yes.
Yeah. So whole life has changed, really. Lots of things have happened since then. But I know you're going to give your one hopeful thing in a moment, but on your road trip, what was something that really stood out to you for you personally? I know your family had to go through a process too, but just for you.
I think that it's helpful when we can share the lies that we hear that kept us stuck or kind of trapped in a certain place. And I think one of the lies I heard somewhere along the journey was, if you start crying, you'll never stop. You'll just stay in despair or depression. And that's a lie. So if you're hearing that, we just want to shine a spotlight on that for you and know that the Bible promises in Psalm 35 that weeping may come for the night, but joy comes in the morning.
That is so true. All right. Why don't you share your one hope-filled thing that you would love for someone catching right now who's watching?
Just that wherever you are, if you're going through grief or a sad circumstance, it's okay for you to cry, and that it's okay for you to lament. And after the lament comes joy.
I love that. Beautiful. Great job, Stephanie. We're so very proud of you, my friend. Hopefully you're seeing the weaving of all of the things. One thing is very much so certain about this book and every single chapter that is in it. We are about to go online with some of our authors online, but one thing is for sure. Joy is a choice. And this book is not all roses and balloons, and that might be what somebody might be thinking just looking at the book called Joy. But it's hard stories, real life moments, but with hope-filled words. Each and every single one of these chapters comes from a place of growth, from a hurt, broken side to a joy-filled side. And here's the thing, and they will all tell you the exact same thing. We're not done. We're not done with this journey. It didn't just become this happy-go-lucky moment. It is a choice to remain in Him and to choose joy on a daily basis. So our prayer for you is that you'll find, like we've said, you'll find your story in their stories and get the encouragement that you need to either choose joy today or make some changes in your daily habits, or honestly, just to saturate yourself in His presence, because the joy will come. The joy is there waiting for you. You just have to accept it and allow Him to overcome you in the hardest of times. It's easy in the great moments, right? It's easy on the mountaintops. It's really hard in the valley. It's really hard in the midst of despair, but He's there. He's there. He just needs you to acknowledge that He's there and to jump right in and put yourself at His feet. All right. So we are going to go online in just a moment to our authors, but I want to give some shout outs for some of our authors that could not be with us tonight. We're so proud of each and every one of them. I want to give a big shout out to Mary Hobbs. Her chapter is called I Never Ran Alone, Discovering God's Presence Even When I Thought He Had Left. That is definitely a chapter for someone right now. I have found myself in that chapter. I don't know about you guys, but I've found myself in that place more times than I could probably count. Sasha Katz, also chapter 4, she wrote, her chapter is How to Live a Life of Joy in Every Season. We talked a little bit about that earlier. There are seasons of all of our lives. Do you know what season that you're in? Are you at a place where you're so overwhelmed by the season that you can't see the forest through the trees? Have you ever heard that saying before? You can't see the forest through the trees. You can have joy in every season of your life. You just have to know how to look for it. I also want to give a big shout out to Megan Malone. Her chapter 9, is Joy When Limits Become Light. A lot of people can look at limitations of your life and think it's a straitjacket. No, it's time for perspective change. If we choose to change our vision, those limitations, what we think are limitations, actually become a light in the darkness. And we can find joy pretty easily if we'll shift our perspective. So I want to go online right now. We are joined with us Mr. Chris Epp. Would y'all give it up for Chris tonight? Yeah, we are so excited you are with us. I'm going to come into the center of this table because my director loves me. That's all I'm going to say. Chris, your chapter is called Joy's Secret Source, God's Presence. Why don't you share a bit about your chapter with us tonight?
Yeah, so we're talking about it's very appropriate. The hardest season, late winter, Nebraska winter, on. And it was cold, hard, and it was a hard. In 2021, and I crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual crash. I hit the bottom. Darkest moment of my life. This book really is about God meeting me there, and the different people He brought into that process, which really has gone on for about 4 or 5 years. And God continues to add people to that process. I'm still coming out. God's bringing me to a place of healing I've not known before. So this really is about the story, at least the beginning of that story, and how God just used different people, used community, used people who don't even know that God used them. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. There's so much more in there than even what's written, obviously. And I think everyone probably could say that. But just so much gratitude for God and the people He's used to bring me just to where I'm at today. And just learning that, can't do it on your own. You got to have people.
Do. Chris, I will never forget the first conversation over the phone that you and I had. I will never forget it. I felt in that moment, because I mean, you know a little bit about even my story. Our stories were very similar when it comes to church burnout, ministry burnout, but choosing to walk through healing rather than just to let it all go. And I knew at that moment when you and I had our first conversation over the phone that we were kindred in more ways than one. But to see what God has done, not only in your life, but also in your wife's life, and choosing to walk this road of healing, and it takes time. That's one thing I think every one of us in every chapter is kind of saturated with, is it's not instantaneous. It takes processing, it takes time. But if we will continue to move forward in that, we'll see God in so many beautiful ways we never would have before if we would have just stayed stuck. Right? So, Chris, why don't you share with us your one hope-filled thing that you would love for somebody watching tonight to get from your chapter?
Well, my chapter is about the presence of God, and David's words in Psalm 139 are just so poignant for me. He says, if I make my bed if I ascend to the heights, He's there. If I make my bed in the deepest parts of the earth, He is there. And I think that's the hope point right there. Doesn't matter how deep we go, God's still there. His presence is still there, and He's just waiting for us to reach out.
No matter where we are, He's there. No matter. I love that. Oh my goodness. Chris, we're so very proud of you. You stick around, but y'all give it up for Chris. And Chris made a really huge point. We're doing this particular series on the fruit of the Spirit on purpose, for a purpose. I think it's so much needed in 2026 with the way that the world is moving and the way that things are shifting, even in the Spirit in churches and those who are believers. There's a big shift when it comes to what God's doing on the earth. And I don't think it's ever a coincidence, the collaboration books that come out and the seasons that they come out. But one thing has been evident for every chapter in this book is you will never experience the fruit of the Spirit if you're not in the presence of the Savior. You have to be in His presence. You have to choose to be at His feet rather than choose the emotion that we want to hold on to. I heard it said very plainly in a Bible study once, whatever you choose to hold on to becomes yours to maintain. And I don't know about you, I'd rather maintain joy than maintain hardship. I'd rather maintain joy than keep up with the anxiety. I'd rather maintain joy than choose to stay in my depression or choose to stay in sadness that goes beyond what really God has called me to stay in. I'm going to choose community. That's very evident in many of our chapters. I'm going to choose community because joy can come from the right community rather than isolation. It's a choice. Joy is a choice, and it is a choice for you today. So we're so thankful that each one of these authors have shared their story with us. They've also gone through the process of recording a podcast. You'll get a chance to hear those very, very soon. But you might be asking yourself, how can I be a part of something like this? Because all of these people were in the same boat, right? Every one of our authors were in this same boat. They are looking for a place for their hope-filled words to be released out into the world and to be published. Many of our authors had a dream to be a published author, and guess what? They are completely 100% published, and you can be a part of this too. We have so many new collabs that are coming out, even in 2026, still places for you to be a part and share your story with the world. So all you have to do is go to hopebooks.com/collabs. Choose a collab that you want to be a part of and connect with someone on our team. They'll have a one-on-one conversation with you. Make sure that you're in the right collab and that your story is featured in one of our books. And we're so excited. Amazon.com. You want to go Joy, Experiencing Heaven's Delight, and maybe choose like 10 copies. 10's a good round number. I was sharing this with the ladies and gents earlier today. This would be a phenomenal summer book to read through. Who couldn't use some encouragement over the summer? I'm telling you, this is, and leading into Easter. Oh my goodness, what an incredible book for the rest of Lent, to dive into it as we're going into Holy Week and to experience the joy of the Lord. What a great time for us to be in 2026, and we get to choose joy. So from our house to your house, we're so thankful that you joined us tonight, and we can't wait to see you here again for another collaboration release. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you soon.